When the Harmattan softened his heart. Episode 1. The silence after the crowd. Morning came softly to the village, carried on the pale breath of the Harmattan. The sky lightened without urgency.
Morning comes every day, whether the heart is ready or not. Morning comes every day, whether the heart is ready or not. Morning comes every day, whether the heart is ready or not. Morning comes every day, whether the heart is ready or not.
It arrived whether the heart was ready or not. Baba Sadiq was a man the village respected. His back was slightly bent now, his beard threaded with white, but his eyes still carried the wisdom of seasons past. Once, people gathered in his courtyard to hear stories of ancestors, of wars and harvests, of love that survived hunger
Good morning, my
and rain.
child.
Now the courtyard was quiet. The stools were empty.
Good morning, my
The
child.
stories stayed in his chest. Inside
You're too
his small
slow. Are you sure
kitchen,
you married the right
Baba
woman?
I
prepared
married
his
trouble and
breakfast.
joy.
He poured pap into a bowl and placed 2 cups on the table, as he had done for decades. Only when he reached for the second cup did he stop. His hand lingered in the air, uncertain.
You're too slow. Are
before
you sure
he
you married the
slowly
right woman?
slid
I
it
married
away.
trouble and joy.
He sat down and ate alone, the sound of his spoon scraping the bowl louder than it should have been. Outside, children passed his compound on their way to school. Their voices bounced off the walls, full of life and impatience. One of them waved and greeted him respectfully, and Baba returned the greeting with a smile that came easily but did not stay long. As their footsteps faded, the silence returned, settling into the corners of his home like dust. There were moments when memory arrived without warning. As Baba stood near the old mortar in the yard, the air
You missed the
seemed
council
to
meeting
shift,
yesterday.
I didn't
and
forget. I
suddenly
just
he could
didn't
hear
go.
laughter
The people still
again.
listen when you speak.
His wife's laughter.
They listen, but they don't
clear
stay.
and unrestrained.
Loneliness is also a
He
test,
saw
Baba.
her as she once was, tying
They
her
listen,
wrapper,
but they don't
teasing
stay.
him for being
Loneliness
too
is
slow,
also a test,
calling
Baba.
him by the pet name only she
They listen,
used.
but they don't
The
stay.
memory was
Loneliness
born,
is also a test,
almost
Baba.
cruel in its sweetness.
They
Then it
listen,
vanished,
but they don't stay.
leaving only the
Loneliness
present,
is also a test,
empty
Baba.
and still. Later in the morning, the Imam came to sit with him under the mango tree. They spoke of small things at first, the weather,
I'm still
the state
here.
of the roads, the upcoming council meeting. When the Imam gently
I'm
reminded
still
Baba
here.
of his absence from recent gatherings, Baba only nodded. He
I'm
said the
still
people
here.
still listened to his stories,
Old
but
age
they
is
no
quiet.
longer stay.
That's life. Some
The
people
Imam,
refuse to
wise
accept
in
it.
his own quiet way, told
Old
him
age
that
is quiet.
loneliness
That's
was
life.
also
Some people
a
refuse
test.
to accept it.
Baba did not argue. He had been sitting for that examination for years. In the afternoon, Baba walked through his cocoa farm. The trees were old, like him, their branches heavy with memories of better harvests. He touched the trunks as he passed, feeling the rough bark beneath his fingers. When his foot slipped on the dry earth, he steadied himself against one of the trees and whispered that he was still here, as though reminding himself. At the village well, women talked freely, their voices sharp with opinion.
I kept everything
They
the same,
spoke of age, of dignity,
just like you
of
asked.
how life grew quieter.
I didn't
whether
laugh too
one
loud.
liked it
I
or
didn't
not.
love again. Is
Baba
that loyalty
heard them as he walked
or fear?
past, but he did not slow down. He had learned
Some
that
silences
some
are
words
louder
were
than
not
crowds.
meant to be answered. As evening came, the
Some
sky
silences are
darkened,
louder than
and
crowds.
the village softened. Baba sat inside his room and turned
Some
on his
silences are
old
louder than
radio.
crowds.
A love song from another time filled the space.
Some
gentle
silences
and
are louder than
aching.
crowds.
He hummed along for a few moments, then stopped, overwhelmed by the familiarity of the tune. His eyes grew wet, and he let the song
Some silences
finish
are louder
without
than
him.
crowds.
Before night fully settled, Baba sat before a framed photograph of his late wife. He spoke to her as though she were simply in the
Some
next room.
silences are louder than
He told
crowds.
her he had kept everything the same, that he had not laughed too loudly, that he had not loved again. Then he asked the question that had lived in
Some
him
silences
for
are
years,
louder than crowds.
whether what he called loyalty was truly love or simply fear of beginning again. No answer came. That night,
Some
Baba
silences
lay
are louder than
outside
crowds.
under the stars, staring into the endless sky. Crickets sang. The wind moved softly through the trees. The village slept.
Some silences
but
are
Baba
louder than
did
crowds.
not. His eyes remained open, reflecting the quiet
Some
truth
silences
he
are
could
louder
no
than
longer
crowds.
deny. Some silences, he realized, were
Some
louder
silences
than
are louder than
crowds.
crowds.
And in that silence, when the Harmattan softened heart, Episode 2, The Woman Who Returned. The markets woke before the sun fully climbed the sky. Mats were spread on the red earth, baskets opened, voices rising and falling like birds greeting the morning. It was in this familiar noise that Baba Sadiq first heard her voice. It was calm,
Through the noise.
measured, and unmistakably out of place.
Excuse me.
Please, the woman said, is there another way to the old quarter? Baba was inspecting dried cocoa beans when the sound reached him. He did not turn at once. Something in the tone, soft but steady, made his chest tighten. When he finally looked up, he saw her standing at the edge of the market, holding a small travel bag, her wrapper neatly tied, her headscarf modest but elegant. She looked older, of course. Time had done its work gently, but her posture, her eyes, those were untouched. For a moment, Baba simply stared. The woman noticed him then, her gaze catching and holding.
Zainab?
Her brows drew together, curiosity shifting slowly into recognition. Sadiq,
Zainab?
she said, uncertain.
Sadiq?
His name, spoken like that, carefully, almost
Zainab?
tenderly, felt like a hand reaching
Sadiq?
across years. Zainab, he replied.
Zainab?
The world did not stop. Sellers
Sadiq?
continued calling out prices.
I heard you left
Children
many years
ran
ago.
between
I did.
stalls, but
Life
something
doesn't always
ancient
ask
and
before it
long
moves
buried
us.
stirred between them.
I heard you left
Quiet
many years
and
ago.
I did.
undeniable.
Life
They
doesn't
stood
always
there
ask before it
awkwardly,
moves us.
two people unsure
you
whether
left
to
many
step
years ago.
forward
I
or
did.
back.
Life
Finally,
doesn't always
Baba
ask
cleared
before it
his
moves
throat
us.
and gestured down
You
the
came
road.
back alone?
The
Yes,
old quarter
home
hasn't
felt
changed
unfinished.
much. I can show you. She smiled, relieved.
Some
Thank
things
you.
shrink.
I was afraid I'd
Some
have to
things
ask
wait.
strangers. They walked side by side, the dust
things
rising
shrink.
gently with each
Some
step.
things wait.
At first, they spoke little, only the necessary words.
Some things
how
shrink.
long it had been,
Some
how
things
far
wait.
she had come, how the road now cut through the eastern
I came
farms.
to greet you
But
properly.
even in silence, there was
welcome,
comfort, a familiarity that did not need
I
explanation.
came to greet you properly.
By the
You're
time they
welcome,
reached her
Zainab.
father's old house, the truth was already spreading
my
through the
husband 5
village.
years ago.
Mama
After that, the
Zena
world
had
became quiet.
returned.
Quiet
Some
can be
remembered
heavy.
her as the girl who left
I buried my
suddenly
husband
years
5
ago.
years ago. After
Others
that, the
only
world
knew her
became
name.
quiet.
The
Quiet
women
can be
whispered.
heavy.
The men watched
I remembered
carefully.
this place. I
Baba
remembered
felt
you.
their
My wife
eyes,
has been
but
gone
for
15
once
years.
he did
I'm
not
on
mind.
Muscat.
Later that
remembered this
afternoon,
place. I
Zainab
remembered
came
you.
to
My
Baba's
wife has been
compound
gone for
carrying a
15
small
years.
bowl
Time
of
on
cola
Mujikayet.
nuts. She greeted him
remembered this
properly,
place. I remembered
lowering
you.
My
herself
wife has been gone for
respectfully,
15
her
years.
voice
Time on
calm and
Mujikayet.
sincere. Baba
remembered
welcomed
this
her
place. I
in,
remembered you.
surprised
My
at how
wife has been gone
natural
for
it
15
felt.
years. Time
They
on
sat under the
Mujikayet.
mango tree, the
remembered
same
this
one
place.
where
I
Baba
remembered
often
you.
My
spoke
wife
with
has
the
been gone
Imam.
for 15 years.
Zainab
Time on
told him of her
Mujikayet.
life away, of marriage that began with hope and ended with illness, of years spent caring for a husband who never returned to full strength, of becoming a widow far from home. I thought I would be buried there, she said quietly, but something kept pulling me back. Baba knew that pull. It had lived in him too, heavy and constant. When she asked about his wife, Baba's
saw
voice
Sadiq
wavered.
today?
He told her of
Yes.
love that was deep and steady, of a loss that never fully
You saw
healed.
Sadiq today?
Zainab bowed her head
Yes.
respectfully when he finished. She must have been a good
And
woman,
be
Zainab said.
careful. All hard
She
first break
was,
deeper,
and she would have liked
or they
you.
finally heal.
The words surprised him as much as they did her. Before leaving, Zainab asked if she could visit the cemetery the next day. Baba offered to take her. He did not know why, only that it felt right. That evening, Baba found himself restless. The silence of his compound felt different now, not heavier but charged.
Some
The
meetings
radio
arrive
played
late,
softly, unnoticed.
but not
His
by
thoughts kept
mistake.
returning to her voice, to the way
Some
she said his
meetings arrive
name,
late,
to the ease of their walking.
but not by mistake.
Across the village, Zainab lay on her mat in her
meetings
childhood
arrive
home,
late,
staring at the ceiling
but
she
not
once
by
knew
mistake.
so well. She had returned expecting
meetings
memories,
arrive late,
perhaps closure. She had
but
not
not by
expected a
mistake.
staring she thought long
Some
buried.
meetings arrive late,
The village slept,
but
but
not by
two
mistake.
hearts remained awake, unsettled by a reunion
Some meetings
neither had
arrive
planned.
late,
And
by
somewhere
mistake.
between memory and possibility, something
But not
new
by mistake.
quietly began.
When Harmattan softened heart. Story continues. Episode 3. Old names, new meanings. The village had not forgotten how to remember. By the third morning after Mama Zainab's return, her name had found its way into every conversation, spoken with curiosity, suspicion, and sometimes quiet approval.
And he was right.
Baba Siddiq heard it often, even when he did not seek it. Each time it landed differently, no longer just a memory from his youth, but a living presence reshaping his days. They met again beneath the neem tree near the old well, where shade was generous and time seemed slower. This time, the greeting was easier. The hesitation that had clung to their first meeting loosened its grip. "You still walk like you are counting your steps," Zainab said with a faint smile. "And you still notice such things," Baba replied. They laughed, surprised by how easily old habits returned. As they spoke, they discovered how much had changed and how much had not. Zainab told him about the small business she hoped to start, selling dried herbs and fabrics. Baba spoke of the children who once sat at his feet to hear stories, and how those children now had children of their own. Names from the past resurfaced, friends long buried, teachers long forgotten, places that no longer existed. Each name carried a weight, but also a strange comfort. Speaking them aloud felt like breathing life into rooms that had been closed for years. Later that day, Zainab asked Baba to accompany her to the cemetery. The path was narrow, lined with dry grass and memories. Baba walked ahead, careful with his steps, while Zainab followed, her hands folded quietly before her. At the grave of Baba's late wife, Zainab knelt. She did not speak at first. Instead, she placed her palm gently on the earth, as though greeting someone who could hear her. "I am not here to replace you, only to walk beside what you left behind." Baba turned away, overcome by a feeling he could not name, something between guilt and relief. That evening, Baba found himself telling Zainab a story he had not shared with anyone since his wife's passing. He spoke of the night he first learned how heavy silence could be, of the mornings when the compound felt too large, of how he feared opening his heart again would dishonor
You
the
cook
past.
this the same way.
Zainab listened
I never
without
forgot the
interrupting.
taste of home.
"When we were young," she said at last, "we thought love was loud. Now I think it is the quiet things that stay." Her words settled into Baba like a blessing. The village, however, was watching closely. Women exchanged looks when Baba and Zainab passed together. Men discussed it in measured tones. Some spoke of companionship as a gift. Others whispered of impropriety, of how elders should know their place. Baba felt the weight of those eyes, but found that it no longer bent him. Something had shifted. Where once his steps were careful, they were
Sometimes I
now
fear we're the only ones
deliberate.
left to remember them.
One afternoon, Zainab
Then
cooked for
remembering is
Baba.
our duty.
The food was familiar,
Sometimes I fear we're
too
the only ones
familiar.
left to remember
The
them.
taste brought Baba's eyes
Then
to water.
remembering is our
"You
duty.
remembered," he said. "I never forgot," she replied simply. As night approached, they sat side by side, not touching, watching the sky deepen. The names they once called each other in youth felt too light now, too small. They addressed each other with new respect, new
Old
care,
names
names
fade,
shaped by experience rather
but
than
their
desire.
meanings grow deeper.
Yet beneath
Old
those new
names
names, the
fade,
old meanings
but
remained.
their
That
meanings grow
night, as
deeper.
Baba lay on his mat, he realized something had changed forever. The silence that once pressed against his chest had softened. It no longer accused him. It waited. And for the first time in many years, Baba Sadiq did not fear what the morning might bring. End of episode 3. Watch out for the next episode.
When the Harmattan softens heart. Episode 4. Whispers of the town. The village had always spoken softly, but now its whispers carried weight. At first, they were easy to ignore. Half-formed comments exchanged at the well, sideways glances at the market, pauses that stretched a little too long when Baba Sadiq passed with Mama Zainab. But as days unfolded, the whispers gathered strength, turning into something solid and unavoidable. They are too old for such closeness, some said. At that age, companionship should remain private, others argued. And yet, there were those who watched them with quiet approval, remembering how life could be when the heart was not denied its needs. Baba felt the shift in the air long before anyone confronted him. He noticed how greetings grew formal, how laughter hushed when he approached. Even the mango tree, once a place of calm conversation, seemed to listen more closely now. Mama Zainab noticed too. She had her name spoken with a tone that was no longer neutral. Women who once smiled now measured her steps, her words, her posture. She remained dignified, refusing to shrink under the weight of judgment, but the effort showed in the careful way she held herself. One afternoon, Baba's eldest son arrived unexpectedly from the city. He found his father sitting alone, sharpening a blade with unnecessary force. After greetings, the questions came, carefully framed but heavy with suspicion. "People are talking," his son said. Baba did not look up. "People always talk. But this talk reaches the city," the son replied. "They say you are forgetting your age. They say you are forgetting my mother." The words cut deeper than Baba expected. That night, he could not sleep. Memories of his late wife returned, not with warmth this time, but with accusation. He wondered whether the village was right, whether love at his age was a selfish desire disguised as companionship. Across the village, Mama Zainab faced her own trial. A group of women confronted her at the well, their voices controlled but sharp. They questioned her intentions, her respect for tradition, her understanding of what was appropriate for a woman who had already lived her life. Zainab listened without interruption. When she finally spoke, her voice was steady. "I am not chasing youth. I am honoring what remains." The women did not respond. Silence, Baba had learned, was often louder than disagreement. For a time, Baba began to withdraw. He shortened his walks, avoided shared meals, chose solitude over scrutiny. Zainab noticed the distance immediately. It pained her, but she did not demand explanations. She understood that old wounds reopened slowly and healed even more slowly. One evening, they met by chance on the village path. The sun was setting, painting the earth gold. Baba stopped walking. "I don't want to bring trouble to your door," he said quietly. Zainab met his gaze. "Trouble does not begin with truth. It begins with fear." Her words stayed with him long after they parted. That night, Baba stood before his late wife's photograph once more. This time, he did not apologize. Instead, he spoke honestly of loneliness, of companionship, of the quiet peace Zainab brought into his days. He asked not for forgiveness, but for understanding. When dawn came, Baba felt something settle inside him. The whispers did not stop, but they no longer defined. Episode 5. The Heart Learns Again. The heart does not forget how to beat, it only waits for permission. After the whispers, After the distance, Baba Siddiq began to notice the small changes within himself. Mornings no longer arrived with the same heaviness. The silence in his compound felt less like a punishment and more like a space waiting to be filled. He found himself lingering over simple tasks, as though time itself had slowed to watch
The
him
heart
decide.
does not forget.
Mama
It
Zainab
only
returned to her
waits.
routines with quiet grace. She greeted the women at the well as she always had, her voice steady, her posture dignified. But inside her, something stirred, a cautious hope she had not allowed herself to name. She had lived long enough to know that courage did not always roar. Sometimes it simply stayed. Their paths crossed again, not by design, but by habit. The market, the old mango tree, the bend in the road where shadows gathered in the late afternoon. Each meeting carried less tension than the last. Words were exchanged carefully at first, then more freely. Laughter returned, soft and surprised, like a guest who had not been expected but was welcomed all the same. One evening, Baba invited Zainab to sit with him as he repaired a wooden stool. He worked slowly, his hands less steady than they once were.
Maybe it
Without
is
being
reminding us
asked,
not to
Zainab
forget
reached for the
ourselves.
tools and held the stool in place. Their hands brushed, and neither pulled away. The moment passed without drama, but it changed something. Baba spoke then, not of the village or the past, but of fear. He admitted how long it had been since he had allowed himself to want anything beyond survival. Zainab listened without interruption, her presence offering something words could not. When she finally spoke, she shared her own truth, how independence had protected her, but also isolated her, how companionship felt both risky and necessary. As the sun dipped below the horizon, they shared a simple meal. No audience, no whispers, just two lives unfolding again in quiet alignment. Baba noticed how Zainab listened with her whole body, how her laughter warmed the space between them. Zainab noticed how Baba's silence no longer felt empty but thoughtful. That night, both lay awake, startled by the realization that their hearts were not done learning. The village continued its rhythm the next day. Children ran, goats bleated, women bargained, men argued. Life, indifferent and persistent, moved forward. But something subtle had shifted. Baba
I
no
don't know
longer
where this
walked with
path leads.
hesitation. Zainab no longer guarded her smile. They did not make promises, they did not speak of tomorrow. They understood the weight of age too well to pretend certainty. But as Baba watched Zainab walk away that afternoon, he felt something he had not felt in decades, a sense of beginning. And somewhere deep within him, the heart remembered its lesson. Stay tuned for the next episode.